Can you imagine how frustrated you would be if you were a first-time home buyer and you had heard all over the place that there's these zero money down programs, and you had worked on saving a little bit of a nest egg for emergency funds? Maybe you had even paid a bunch of stuff on credit cards to get your credit cards low and to increase your credit score, only to find out in the final hour that that zero money down program does come with closing costs. And even if you negotiate for the seller to pay all of those closing costs, you still have monies that you need upfront, some of which you don't get back if the loan doesn't close, that you weren't expecting. Hi, this is your Monday Jumpstart, and this week we're going to be talking about closing costs so that we can make sure that our sphere goes into a transaction with correct expectations, because nothing is worse than going into something thinking really positively, and the first thing you do is get knocked flat on your butt because you were expecting one thing and then found out something different. So let's go into our Monday memory. You know, I like to tell a story on Mondays. Remember, you can take this story and make it your own, or if you would like just to use the graphic and put the graphic on your social media, that's in the toolkit as well. But Jim came to me about a month ago, and he had been doing exactly that. He had been paying lots of his credit card bills way down so that his credit score would shoot up. He had also really been saving for a little emergency nest egg, right? So if the water heater goes out, he would have money for it. He knew there was going to be some expenses when it came to moving, so he had that money saved up. But when he came to me and he was ready to make an offer, which was a little backwards, but I digress, he came to me and I explained to him that even if we have the seller pay all of those closing costs, he still needs to pay for the appraisal, and I strongly suggest an inspection, and I know the agents out there are strongly suggesting an inspection on this big home purchase. And there's also this money that he's got to give for down payment, that earnest money. So I explained this to them, and you could just see his face just dropped. He wasn't expecting it. Now, technically, he had a couple of $1,000s in this emergency fund, but he was going to be draining the entire emergency fund. And imagine how that felt when I explained that if something happens and the appraisal came in low, or if the inspection came in bad, that money doesn't get returned to him. So now he is spending out of this savings account, this emergency fund that he wasn't even expecting to spend out of. And this is risky business. If he doesn't close, he might actually just lose that money. It was something that he just did not expect. So let's set our expectations correctly. Understand that even if you are doing a zero money down loan, and even if your seller agrees to pay for all of your closing costs, there are still some closing costs that you need to expect to have to pay upfront before closing. That is going to be your earnest money, your appraisal money, and I would suggest an inspection. Those three things are things that you can expect pretty much every transaction that you're going to need cash out of pocket before you even close the transaction. I hope that's helpful. Make sure you put that on your social media. Remember the toolkit. Please go register for the toolkit. Once you've registered, you get to go in as many times as you want. And I do have some graphics. You can even copy and paste the words and throw them in to your social media post. I've also included a link to a blog that goes over what to expect at closing for a first-time home buyer. And I like this blog, so you can literally just copy and paste that blog, put it right in your social media, put your own thoughts, of course, at the beginning. But the idea is we want to spread the word this Monday on what first-time home buyers can expect for closing costs.